So this is Anne, and I'm Theo, and we're just going to talk about how her experiences in Alameda. So when did you move to Alameda?
Well, first of all, I don't live in Alameda anymore. I live in Oakland now. But I moved to Alameda in 1998 from San Francisco. And then last year, or a year and a half now, 15 months ago, I moved to where I am now.
When you first came to Alameda, was it a lot different than it is today? Or is it still?
Well, not a heck of a lot different. It wasn't that long ago. But if you want to talk about things being different, I can talk about stuff like that. You know, have you seen Selma, or do you intend to?
I don't think I've...
You're not familiar with it? It's this movie that's just out, that Oprah Winfrey produced, that's all about what happened in Selma, Alabama exactly 50 years ago. And I remember it real well. I saw it all on TV, but it was in black and white, you know. And now, you know, they're doing this movie, and you guys ought to see it just because it's an important part of history.
So it says here that you grew up in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, PA, yes.
So when did you move across the, when did you come?
Well, 50 years ago, I moved to San Francisco from Philadelphia, a little over 50. It was September 1964, actually.
Why'd you move?
Well, let me see, that's a good question. Well, I had a husband who had come to San Francisco. You know, he was an artist, and he was looking for a more creative atmosphere, and I followed him out here.
It says that you were a jazz singer.
I am a jazz singer, and when I was little, I wanted to be a movie star. And I'm only now at my age am I able to say that.
Do you still sing jazz today?
I still sing. I've been teaching voice for 40 years. And I sing and I perform. And if there were a CD player, I could, well, I'll show you. I brought it to show. I figured this would be some show and tell. Where is it? Here we go. So here's, I did this one CD.
Oh.
So.
When did you do the CD?
I think I completed it in 2005, but I worked on it a real long time. I started it in San Francisco, and I finished it in Alameda.
Did you have a band that you sang with?
Well, you know, when you sing jazz or play jazz, you usually work with lots of different people. And you get to meet different ones, and then if you have a paying gig, you call them up and say, hey, I have this gig, you know, come and play with me, and do it like that. So while from time to time I had a person or people that I worked with, mostly I didn't have that. And I also spent a lot of time just playing for myself. Not that I'm a great pianist, but that's the best way to go, you know, if you're not getting paid lots of money.
Sorry, can we hold up just a second? I just realized we didn't plug in the mic.
Oh.
I'll be right back.
So
Sorry.
was this a warm-up?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to just start over?
Whenever you're all ready.
Okay. Are you ready? Yeah, I'm ready. Okay. So when did you move to Alameda?
In 1998, September of 98. I got evicted out of San Francisco because at that time there was all of the tech companies coming in, you know, and a lot of people were getting moved out of their apartments. no longer afford to live in San Francisco. So I came to Alameda, and I have family here. So it all worked out.
Why did you end up leaving Alameda?
Well, I'm an artist. I call myself an artiste. And I just always worked giving voice lessons and performing. I never really made a lot of money. And my rent here was really too high, and I had very terrible neighbors that made noise all day and all night. So I had an opportunity to move into senior housing in Oakland, and now I live right off of Piedmont Avenue, in a very nice neighborhood. And still close enough to here that I can come here as often as I want. I was here last night for the San Francisco indie movies that they had.
It says that you're a jazz singer. Do you still do that today?
Oh yes, you can't stop me. Nowadays I sing primarily in senior places, and I make a little money that way. Actually, the library ought to hire me to perform here. They actually had my son playing here, and I understand that the way that he got hired was that somebody heard his band on YouTube and then got in touch with him. But I'm not so into technology.
Are you still a vocal coach today?
Yes, I am. I have been teaching for 40 years, and momentarily I really don't have any students, but if anybody's interested, I would still teach.
When you lived in Philadelphia, were you a jazz singer there? Or did that
Well, I was pretty young then. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Paul Whiteman, but he was a band leader, and he had a show called Paul Whiteman TV Teen Club. And I was on that show with, let's see, I was one of 4 girls, and then there were 4 boys, and we all wore a sweater that had an emblem that said TV Teen Club, and we sang, "Gee, it's all fine and dandy, sugar candy when I'm with you," you know, that was the theme song. So I guess you could say that was my first gig. I was about 15 then.
It also says that you read to little kids. You're a Granny Annie. Is that?
Oh, I'm Granny Annie, that's right. So I moved into this very nice neighborhood in Oakland, right off of Piedmont Avenue. But it's not the same somehow. And I didn't feel like I was having much creative fulfillment. So I just started reading to toddlers, the ones that aren't in kindergarten or nursery school. Every Thursday at 10:30 they come to the book zoo, and I read them kids' books. The fewer the words, the better. And I sing to them too. And actually, I found a book right here in this very library several years ago when I had triplets that I was teaching. Three little girls, 3 little sisters that came to me for voice lessons, and I said, what am I going to do with them? And I came here and I found this book called Blue Moo with a CD that had all these really fantastic songs for kids, and they're great. I mean, they're just great. You would just enjoy the music no matter what age you are. So I used that with them, and I use that now with the people that I'm reading to, the little ones I'm reading to.
Do you call yourself a Granny Annie, or is that just what?
Well, yeah, I started calling myself Granny Annie some years ago, and I am a grandmom and a great-grandmom. And at first I was calling myself Auntie Anne because there were some people that I knew that had a loss in their family, and they just needed somebody, I guess, I felt. And so I became Auntie Anne then, and then I graduated to Granny Annie.
Do your kids and grandkids live in Alameda?
Yeah. And the little ones call me Granny Annie, you know, but they understand that that's really not my name. And when I first had a great-grandchild, I thought, well, I'm going to call her great-granddaughter Kylie, and she's going to call me great-grandmother Ann. But that never happened. She didn't dig it, I guess. But now she calls me Granny Annie.
Did you play jazz? Did you sing jazz in Alameda?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I had a few little gigs here and there in Alameda. I sang at that place, that nice senior place down by the water. They've changed the name of it. I don't remember what it was. And I sang at some openings of some places that no longer are here anymore. And some other stuff.
Who influenced you the most to become a jazz singer?
Well, I guess when I was young, I guess my husband, he was into jazz, and I would listen to jazz with him, and I just gravitated towards it. And I loved Billie Holiday, and she was a very famous singer who had a very sad life. And I used to see her quite a lot around Philadelphia, and I once met her and shook her hand, and I was real happy about that. So, anything else you got there?
No, is there anything else you'd like to say about?
Oh, I don't know. I showed you this picture, or I'll show it to you. That was my first piano. And that's my mom and dad. He kind of looked like Frank Sinatra used to look. Do you know who Frank Sinatra is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let me see. Did I show you this? I have this CD that I did. That's okay. I did a bunch of songs all the way from the 20s through the 70s. Now, are you ready for something a little bit on the controversial side? It was 5 years ago. I was asked to take part in what would you call it? Well, this lady photographer wanted to take pictures of people who use medical cannabis. And she actually got this whole show together, and I was one of the people in the show. And it turned out that for some reason, my pictures just were very, very popular. And so I brought some with me today. So this was one of the pictures that she took. And this picture has been seen all over the world, actually, because it's been in many magazines. And it was in the Russian Esquire. So I saw this picture of myself in the Russian Esquire, but I couldn't understand what it said. And then this is another one that was also in the show that she did at that time. And this was actually in a show at City Hall in San Francisco. And the show was called Medicine. And it was all of these different people. And then I just brought a few of the magazines. So I want to start with this because this is the most recent one. Chris Rock was on the cover of New York magazine. And someday he'll meet me, or I don't know if he'll meet me, but if he ever does, he'll say, "Where do I know you from?" And I'll say, "Page 44 of New York magazine." See? Why are you sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just I laughed.
Well, why are you laughing?
I don't know. It's just kind of random. It's not really something you'd expect to see from someone
Of my age?
of really anybody at all.
Okay, now here's one with Bill Clinton on the cover. And these were some of the other pictures of other people that were in the medicine show. Here I am down here in the corner.
It looks like the same pic. It's the same
Yes,
one,
it's
yeah.
the same picture. So until this came out just in December, I didn't even realize that I knew she took lots and lots of pictures in the course of an afternoon. But I only knew the two pictures. And then this is, let's see, this one says, should grandma smoke pot? So what do you think of all of that?
Well, I know you.
What? Any questions?
Well, you talk about how you always wanted to write a book about your life. What do you think you'd put in that if you?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I've always felt like I've been kind of a square peg in a round hole, or vice versa. You know, like always working for myself and not working out in the world at a regular job, though I did do that way back when. And then I had an interracial marriage way back when. Those things were very uncommon. And I got a lot of hassle from people in general, from the police. I can really relate to what's going on, nowadays. And I guess I can just relate to it. I could tell you stories, but I guess I don't really have to go into lots of details, unless you want to ask me any questions.
I know.
What would I write in my book? Well, I would write about that. See, my mom always thought that I should have written it about my life, and I think I've had a kind of interesting life, and I'm still living my life. Don't you want to ask me about what it's like to be old?
Well, I know what lessons, or do you have any lessons for the younger generations?
Oh, sure.
About your life?
Sure. I believe that we're all divine, and we're all part of God, and God would be incomplete if it wasn't for all of us. And I believe in happiness and helping people. I think it's real important to help other people, because it gives your life meaning, and it makes you feel better, if you're someone that helps people. So that's something that I would say.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Well, I have children. I had 2 sons. One passed away from AIDS. The other one lives here, and he's going to be 50 this year, but he has a young wife. Well, first of all, he has a 25-year-old daughter. I should start with her, one of his earlier marriages. And she has 2 little kids. And he has 2 little kids that are younger than his eldest daughters. So it's kind of unusual. So I have a 2.5-year-old granddaughter who's named after my mom. And I have a 7-month-old grandson who's named after his father. And then I have a 5-year-old great-granddaughter. She was the first baby, and I just adore her because she's at an age where it's real fun to interact with her, and she says interesting stuff. And then she has a really cute little brother who's just 7 months old. And what really gives me a lot of joy is to see the interaction in both sets of kids, how they love each other, how the brothers and sisters are. so bonded, and that's nice.
Would you recommend that anyone become a jazz singer?
Not anyone. First of all, you have to really want to sing. This is what I tell people. If you want to learn how to sing, you probably can. And then you figure out what kind of songs appeal to you. Or if you have a teacher like me and I get to know you and I get to know your voice, I probably think of songs just to inspire you and maybe show you some things that you never heard of. And, broaden you, and you might decide that you like certain music that otherwise you wouldn't have known. So it's a process, I think.
Is there anything else you'd want to say?
Anything else I would want to... I could go on and on. Well, I guess not. Unless you guys have any... Do any of the adults have any questions?
Oh, no, you don't need
Get Dad in there.
What's your favorite city? New York, Philadelphia, or Alameda?
Oh, golly gosh. First of all, we can definitely knock out Philadelphia. Because I call it Filthy-delphia. Because the politics and the place, not that there aren't things that I don't like. There are things about it I do like. I grew up near those steps that Sylvester Stallone runs up, And I used to hang out there a lot on those steps, and I took art lessons in that art museum. So Philadelphia was good for that. New York, of course, is a great city. I loved San Francisco, and when I got to San Francisco, I met world travelers, and they said, if you have to be stuck anywhere, San Francisco is a great place to be stuck. And then Alameda, of course, it's a beautiful town. I love being by the water. I love walking all over Alameda. And while I lived here, I had friends that I liked to walk with on a regular basis, and we would go all around and, outside of Alameda too, but all around in the area. And I like where I am now. I'm right off of Piedmont Avenue in Oakland, and there's lots of nice restaurants there, and nice people.
Who's your favorite musician now, current musician?
Who is current? Well, that's kind of hard. I like the lady that's playing Billie Holiday. Why does her name escape me? See, this is one of the things when you get older, and I can't think of her name. That's terrible. She's won all kinds of awards, and she can sing opera, she can sing jazz. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll wake up and and it'll be too late because I can't think of her name right now. So I would say her. And I would say me. I'm my own favorite musician, even though lots of people can play lots better than me, but I like my singing and I like to express myself.
I don't know if you know about these two, but these guys are in the jazz band.
Oh, tell me about being in the jazz band.
Oh, well,
What do you play?
I play guitar, and David plays guitar as well.
Bass also.
And bass also. And what kind of music are you playing?
Jazz mostly.
Yes,
Oh, yeah? Would you like to work with a jazz singer? Maybe I could teach you lots of stuff.
Tell her some of the names of songs you guys
We're
play.
playing I Let a Song Go Out of My Heart.
I let a song go out of my heart. Yeah.
Dun, dun,
Not
dun.
warmed up. But what else?
Yeah, we're playing Brazil.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Also doing Cantaloupe Island.
Oh, yes, Herbie Hancock.
Mhm.
Yes, I don't know if there's any words to that, but I used to work with a little group that played that a lot. What else?
And Georgia on My Mind.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Georgia.
What else are we playing, David?
We played a variant of It came upon a midnight clear.
Oh, yeah? I could just hear that in parts. Kind of jazz thing, huh? All right, so you want to ask me anything?
I think that's.
You think that's it?
Is there any, do you want to say anything else?
Oh, like I said before, I could go on and on.
Just have a quick question.
Sure.
Sorry, guys. You said you ended up coming out here because your husband was out here. So I guess my question is, that was a big choice. And how do you feel about that choice and how it affected your life?
Oh, sometimes I think back and I think, gee, if I hadn't come here, my life would have taken a whole different turn. I wouldn't have the children that I have, you know. I wouldn't have all these people that I just talked about. I would have different people probably, you know. And who knows what else would have happened different. But I'm certainly glad I came. I mean, I think the Bay Area is a fabulous place to be.
It is.
Now, are you gonna, who edits this?
We will. I don't know when, but yeah, we will.
And
There's also a little video of me on YouTube. And while these pictures, today that these pictures were being taken, I was also, just similar to this, I was interviewed. The way they did it though, when I didn't catch on to it right away, this could be a little tip for you, like when you interview people, you don't want it to be like a back and forth. You kind of want to interject, and is your voice going to be in this?
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, so then there's a way of doing it where you would ask me a question, and I would go on and answer the question, but it would just be me talking, you know. And so they were doing that, and I didn't catch it right away. Anyway, I kind of got off the beaten track here. But the video they did, handed it over to this guy named Michael Leslie. So if you go to youtube.com/michaelleslie.com, you'll come to a place where there'll be a bunch of Michael Leslies. You have to pick the one that's the photographer, and there's a thing called marijuana. And if you hit on that, then there's a 2.5-minute video of me where they slow it down, and I'm going like this, you know, and all little special effects. I actually had nothing whatsoever to do with it, you know, they just made it. And so you might want to watch it just to see how they do stuff like that.